I'm 88 years old and I need to tell you something that will make you uncomfortable. Everything you believe about being kind, being helpful, being there for everyone, it's destroying your life. And the people telling you to be more giving, more available, more selfless, they're either using you or they've been used themselves and don't know any better. You see, I spent 63 years of my life being everyone's solution. The person everyone could count on. The one who always said yes. And I thought that made me a good person. I thought that's what life was supposed to be. But at 63, something happened that made me realize I had given away my entire existence. And what I've learned in the 25 years since has completely rewritten everything I thought I knew about living. But before I tell you what happened, you need to understand something. I'm not making this video to sound wise or to get your approval. I'm making this because I'm running out of time. And someone needs to hear this truth before they waste their whole life like I almost did. Not for my sake, for yours. At 63, I collapsed in my kitchen. The doctors called it severe exhaustion and malnutrition. That's medical speak for, I had literally worked myself into the ground taking care of everyone except myself. I was making dinner for my neighbor who couldn't cook, after spending the afternoon helping my sister move furniture, after covering a shift for a coworker who wanted to see their kid's soccer game after agreeing to host Thanksgiving even though I was already drowning. I remember the floor coming up to meet my face, cold tile, the smell of burning vegetables, my daughter's voice screaming for someone to call 911. The next thing I knew, I was in a hospital bed, hooked up to IVs, and a doctor was telling me that if I didn't change, I wouldn't make it to 70. Change what? I was being a good person. I was helping people. You know what the doctor said? You're helping everyone except yourself, and now your body is shutting down. That's when it hit me. I wasn't being helpful. I was being used. The doctor handed me a clipboard and asked me to list everything I'd done in the past week. Not for myself, for other people. The list filled 2 pages. Then he asked me to list what I'd done for myself. I stared at the blank page for 5 minutes. I had nothing to write. Nothing. In 7 days, I hadn't done a single thing that was just for me. Not one meal I actually wanted to eat. Not 1 hour doing something I enjoyed. Not one moment where I wasn't serving someone else's agenda. The doctor looked at me and said something I'll never forget. You're volunteering for your own extinction. He was right. Let me tell you the biggest lie you've probably built your entire identity around. Being there for everyone makes you a good person. You think saying yes to every request makes you valuable. You think being available 24/7 makes people love you. You think sacrificing yourself for others is noble. You think if you just give enough, people will appreciate you. You think if you're just helpful enough, indispensable enough, selfless enough, then you'll matter. Let me save you 60 years of resentment and regret. You're wrong. Dead wrong. You're not helping anyone. You're teaching them to take. And they will take and take and take until there's nothing left of you. I watch young people today, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and they're drowning in the same trap I was. I can't say no. They need me. I don't want to let them down. What if they get upset? What if they think I'm selfish? I'm just being a good friend, parent, employee, person. It's just this one time. After this, I'll focus on myself. That day never comes. You know why? Because people will take as much as you give, and when you have nothing left to give, they'll move on to the next person who can't say no. You're not building relationships. You're building dependencies. You're creating people who see you as a resource, not a person. And one day, you'll collapse under the weight of everyone else's needs, and those same people won't even visit you in the hospital. Here's what they don't tell you. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you're teaching people that your needs don't matter. Every time you sacrifice your time for someone who wouldn't do the same for you, you're confirming that you're not worth respecting. Every time you drop everything to solve someone else's problem, you're announcing that your life is less important than theirs. And people believe you. They believe what you show them. And what you're showing them is that you don't matter. I did this for 63 years. I was everyone's favorite person to call. Need someone to babysit? Call me. Need money? I'll figure it out. Need emotional support at 2 in the morning? I'm here. Need someone to cover your shift, help you move, fix your problem, listen to your drama? Me. Always me. I was so proud of this. I thought it meant I was loved. I thought it meant I was important. I thought it meant I was a good person. And you know what I got in return? When I was in that hospital bed, barely conscious, fighting to stay alive, do you know how many people showed up? My daughter, my husband, that's it. Not my sister, who I'd helped move 6 times in 8 years. Not my neighbor, who I'd cooked for 3 times a week for 5 years. Not the neighbor before her, who I'd driven to doctor's appointments for 2 years until she moved away without even saying goodbye. Not my coworkers, who I'd covered for countless times, weekends, holidays, nights when I was sick myself. Not my friends, who called me whenever they had a crisis, but were always too busy when I needed something. Not the people from church, who were happy to have me volunteer but never volunteered for me. Not my cousin, who I'd loaned $5,000 to and never saw again. Not my brother, whose business I'd helped save by working for free for 6 months. Not a single one of them. Lying in that bed, I realized something that still makes me angry. I had spent 6 decades making myself available to people who were never available to me. I had given my life away in pieces. An hour here, a favor there, a sacrifice here, another compromise there, until there was nothing left. And the people I gave it to? They took it without a second thought. They took it and asked for more. They took it and complained when I couldn't give enough. They took it and never once wondered if I was okay. Here's something nobody tells you when you're young and eager to be loved. People will take everything you're willing to give. And they'll take it without gratitude, without reciprocation, without ever questioning whether they're draining you dry. They'll take it and call you helpful. They'll take it and call you generous. They'll take it and call you such a good person. And you'll believe them. You'll believe that's what you are. But you know what you really are? Convenient. You're the person they call when they need something, not when they want to celebrate, not when they have good news to share, not when they're thinking of someone they appreciate, when they need something. That's it. I had a friend, and I use that word loosely now, who called me every single week for 10 years. Every week. With her problems, her drama, her disasters. Her husband was terrible. Her job was awful. Her kids were ungrateful. Her life was falling apart. And I listened. Every single time. Gave advice. Drove across town to comfort her. Loaned her money she never paid back. Helped her move twice. Helped her paint her house. Watched her kids so she could have a break. Threw her a birthday party because nobody else would. I was there. Always there. One time, just one time, I called her because I was scared about a medical test. I was terrified. I needed to talk. You know what she said? Can I call you back? I'm kind of in the middle of something. She never called back. Not that day, not the next day, not ever. A week later, she called me with a new crisis. Never asked about my test. Never acknowledged that she'd blown me off. Just started right in with her problems. Like nothing had happened. Like I existed solely to serve her needs. She died 4 years ago. 71 years old. Heart attack. At her funeral, person after person stood up and talked about how giving she was, how generous, how she always made time for people. And I sat there thinking, she made time for people who served her needs. The rest of us were furniture. Is that who you want to be? The person everyone uses? Or worse, the person who uses everyone and calls it friendship. You think you're being kind. You're being a doormat. You think you're being selfless. You're being invisible. You think you're being helpful. You're being exploited. You think you're building relationships. You're building resentment in yourself and in them. Because here's the thing. When you do everything for people, they don't respect you. They expect it. They feel entitled to it. And when you finally can't do it anymore, when you finally hit your limit, they don't feel grateful for everything you've done. They feel angry that you're not doing it anymore. The things that haunt me aren't the times I said no. They're all the times I said yes when I should have said no. The family vacation I canceled because my brother needed help with his business. The art class I never took because I was too busy helping everyone else pursue their dreams. The relationship with my husband that nearly fell apart because I had more time for strangers than for him. The hobbies I abandoned, the dreams I buried, the life I didn't live because I was too busy propping up everyone else's. I wanted to learn piano, never did. Too busy. I wanted to travel to Ireland, never went. Couldn't afford it after loaning money to people who never paid me back. I wanted to start a garden, never did. Spent my weekends helping other people with their projects. You don't get those years back. Those moments are gone, forever, and nobody thanks you for them. Nobody remembers them. They just move on to the next person who can't say no. After that hospital stay, everything changed. I came home and looked at my life. Really looked at it. My calendar was full of other people's needs. My phone never stopped ringing with requests. My house was full of other people's things I was storing, fixing, managing. I was exhausted, bitter, empty, and still saying yes to everyone who asked. So I did something I had never done in 63 years. I started saying no. Not rudely, just, no, I can't do that. No, that doesn't work for me. No, I'm not available. The first time I said it, my hands were shaking. I felt guilty, selfish, mean. My sister called and asked me to watch her kids for the weekend. I said no. She said, "What do you mean no?" Like she'd never heard the word before. I said, "I have plans." I didn't have plans. But my time was my plan. My rest was my plan. My life was my plan. She hung up on me. You know what happened? People got angry. My sister stopped calling for 3 months. 3 months of silence because I said no one time. My neighbor asked if she'd done something wrong. Coworkers called me selfish behind my back. Friends disappeared completely. At first, this hurt. I thought I'd done something wrong, but then I realized something. I didn't lose anything worth keeping. The people who got angry weren't angry because they cared about me. They were angry because I was no longer useful to them. They were never my friends. They were my users. And when I stopped letting them use me, they moved on to the next person who would. I didn't lose anything worth keeping. Not one relationship that ended was actually mutual. Not one person who left actually cared about me as a person. They cared about what I could do for them. In these last 25 years, I've learned more about real relationships than I did in the previous 63. The people who stayed, they respected my boundaries. They understood when I said no. They didn't guilt trip me. The people who left, they were never there for me in the first place. They were there for what I could do for them. What actually matters is embarrassingly simple. Time for yourself. Energy for your own dreams. Relationships where both people give and take. Saying yes when you want to. Saying no without guilt. I know it sounds selfish. When I was your age, I would have been horrified by this advice. But what about helping people? And yes, help people. I'm not saying become cold. I'm saying stop setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I'm saying help people who would help you. I'm saying invest in relationships that are mutual, not one-sided. Here's a question I want you to ask yourself right now. When was the last time you did something just for you? Not because someone asked, not because you felt guilty, just because you wanted to. If you can't remember, then you're exactly where I was at 63, and you're heading for the same collapse. What are you getting in return that's worth your health, your dreams, your time, your peace? Let me tell you about my friend Richard. We worked together for 20 years. Richard was like me, always available, always helpful, always saying yes. Richard had a dream. He wanted to open a woodworking shop. Had the plans, had the skills, had the passion. But he never did it. Why? Too busy helping everyone else? His brother needed money. Richard worked extra shifts. His sister needed help renovating. Richard spent 6 months of weekends doing it. His neighbor needed rides to chemotherapy. Richard rearranged his entire schedule. All noble things. But you know what? Richard died at 69. Stroke. Never opened that shop. Never pursued his dream. At his funeral, his son said something that broke my heart. My dad was always there for everyone. I just wish he'd been there for himself. That's what you're doing right now. You're being there for everyone except yourself. And one day, you'll run out of time. And all those people you helped? They'll move on. But you'll be gone. And your dreams will be gone with you.